Alright guys, hey, welcome back to my channel. I am getting ready for date day, if you will, so I'm just doing my makeup. And not August, but Jada and Will just talked about this whole August situation, so I kind of want to talk about it with y'all, so stay tuned. Alright, so I am not really doing much for my brows, just kind of um, fluffing them out some because they probably need to be redone. So today, Jada dropped her interview about August finally. It's highly anticipated. Everybody was waiting for it. And her and Will talked about it. And it was pretty interesting. And one, I commend them for even talking about it because honestly, they don't have to. Anything that's up for public consumption can be used against you. And so I think that it was commendable for them to even discuss this situation with them, or with the public for that matter. I can't say personally that I could deal with being in this type of relationship, but I will say that I get it because when you get married, nobody tells you what it's really like when you're actually like people don't talk about the stuff that really happens in marriages as you grow, as you learn, and you become one. And it's a grueling process. It's not and I've only been married for 5 years. I've been with my husband for, it'll be 5 years this year, but I think we've been together 8 years, and we've been through a lot already on the dating process. But being married is hard, and nobody tells you about the hardness of what that looks like. You just kind of have to go through it for yourself, because people can tell you oh, it's hard, it's this and that, but when you're in love and you're in those moments, you don't think about that. You're just well, I love him, I want to be with him, that's it. But it's hard out here. Marriage is not easy. So again, I commend them. I honestly don't have anything bad to say personally, because I get it. And every marriage is different. Everybody has different belief systems and principles that they live by, and what they decide for their family is what's there for their family. So no judgment from me personally. I will say, so one thing I was Jada was acting like she didn't want to say we were in a relationship. She was saying entanglement, and I was Jada, if you don't say, just say what it was, girl. Why are you playing? I thought that was funny. She was we were separated and we got in an entanglement, and I was define entanglement, Jada. What is an entanglement? So I was just confused. Well, I wasn't confused, but I was just girl, say what it was. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I think I'm always going to go for brown, so I think I know what I'm doing. So I was if Jada don't just say in a relationship, and Will called her out Jada, entanglement, you were in a relationship, say what it was. And so, that's what it was. It was a relationship. And if you guys don't know, I'm using the Patricia Bright palette. Right now I'm using the color Jet Setter. And so I just thought it was interesting that she was like, it was an entanglement. Also, I was noting that they were acting like it was years ago, but August was on their show in 2018, maybe 2018, maybe even last year. He was on their show. So I was a little confused when they were like, this happened years ago. I'm like, no, it happened like 2 years ago when y'all were in this situation because he was on Red Table Talk. And if he hasn't talked to you since, then there's some kind of like something. Next, I'm gonna go in with Brown Sugar. So I was like, no, actually, it's not been that long. But if y'all want to say that, then go ahead, do what you do. I thought that was interesting. And also, like, Will did seem like super hurt still, because he was even like, you know, I'm gonna get you back. And I think, personally, I do think they have an open marriage, which is fine for them. Like, if that's what they are choosing to do, I definitely don't judge people for having open marriages because that's their choice. And I'm not in open marriage, and that's not my choice. But I think maybe Will's just more upset that, like, it happened and it was a relationship more than it was like Jada just like having sex with August, because that's different. Um it's just different. I'm getting text messages from my Sans because they're talking about the interview. It's funny. Um so I think that Will was just more upset that, like, oh, you had like a whole relationship, Jada, with this dude, you know. And it was hurtful because I think he really does. They love each other. It just, stuff happens. All right, next I'm gonna go on with the color icon. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's not the pressed glitter one. It's the just glitter one. And so yeah, I think he was just like more upset that there was a relationship, and so he was like, yeah, it's just interesting. Like, to me, like, he was just like, you know, I'm gonna get you back. But Jada was like, you already got me back. Like, what you mean? And so, like, I'm like, does this mean that he slept with people too? But I don't know. Like, and also, this is also noted. They did say they were separated. And though they lived in the same house, they were separated. So, I mean, kind of is what it is. Like, when you're separated, you kind of can do what you want. And they were like, I thought we would never talk to each other again. So, but they did have an agreement that they were never going to leave each other. So, I mean, I don't know. So, that's my take on it. And I don't judge people's marriages. I do think we have to stop, like, celebrating celebrity, like, marriages and being like, oh, I want this marriage. But people don't know what you have to go through to get to, like, that type of marriage necessarily. Like, are you willing to be, like, in an open relationship possibly? Like, what are you willing to do to be in this relationship with this person? And I think people need to, like, really realize that before being like, I want to be like Will and Jada. Like, do you though? I'm going into Pure Soul. using like more of a purplish color to deepen the outer V with some purplish color, so it's not as dark, because I feel like this is super dark and I don't want it to be that dark, but I'm glad they're pigmented. So yeah, I just think that it's super like it's like to like idolize people's marriages and like make assumptions about it when you don't know like what they had to go through to get to where they are. Because I think that's easy to do, like especially like when you talk about celebrity and what that actually means and looks like, and people are like, yeah, let's be like them. But what if you don't really want to have like, you know, gone through that? And I do feel bad for, honestly, I feel bad for August. And I know people are like, he's grown, but like, part of me feels like Jada took advantage because he's 25, and if you know anything about the human brain, you do know that like our brains don't really, especially men brains, don't develop cognitively at the same rate. And Jada's like 40, so she's been through a lot of life, and August hadn't. And he also was going through a time in his life where he was like he needed somebody, so it's kind of a little different in my opinion. That's just me though, because I do think if it were a male and this woman was 25 and they came out and said I was with Will Smith, this may have gone a different way. And that's just the double standards of our living, for sure. But marriage is hard, and people are gonna say what they want to say about like what Will and Jada have done with their lives, but like I said, I commend them for even saying anything because they didn't have to. I'm using New Caledonia and the NAR Sheer Gold. Putting some on the back of my hand. I'm not gonna color correct today. I'm just going to. So that's how I feel about it. I think that, but I do think they're still working through it. Because when they said we ride together, we die together, bad marriage for life, I was like, well, I don't know about that. But I get it. Like, you go through stuff, you work through it, and whatever comes of it is what comes of it. So be it. So I get it. And again, like, people have to define marriage for what it is for themselves. And what works for me and my husband won't work for you and your husband, or you and your spouse if you are in the same sex marriage. Like, whatever works for y'all is different than what works for me. So I think it's important to like understand what that means and how that shows up for you. So I don't judge though. Like, it's different when you're not married because you make assumptions. But when you get married, you be like, this might sound good today. Like, and I like today, this sounds like a great way for me to like live my life, right? But you continue to grow and you move on and do your thing. So that's how I feel about it. What do you guys think about it? I want to know in the comments how y'all feel about Will and Jada in there. I mean, and there's been rumors for years about their marriage, though. Like, this isn't necessarily a new phenomenon. Like, people always thought they had at least an open marriage. A lot of people said they're swingers. I was like, I don't think they're swingers. But I do, like I said, I do think they're open, and that's their business, though. If they are, like, one thing I do think is interesting is in Jada's like journey to healing, she kind of used somebody to do that, and she talked about codependency, and I thought that was like, it's true. Like, codependency is like, I think I need a little more considered, not a lot, but and I think people don't even realize that they're codependent. Like, and so I think in realizing her own, like, feelings of, like, wanting to be wanted and the need to be, that need for attention somehow that was lacking with her and Will, caused her to be like, well, at least he, like, there's noise. I think it was a thing of like, at least somebody needs me and wants me and desires me and can fulfill this like moment for me more than anything than it was. But at the time, like, August is also dealing with this like addiction and his own mental health, and so it makes it a little more murky to me. And I think that's what is my hardest like thing to like reconcile this with, because I'm like, but still, Jada, like, I don't know. So I get why August is like, I'm never talking to her again at this point, like, because I'm thinking one thing and then something else is happening, and that sucks. Like, when you're like really, really in love with somebody, you know. But I've been codependent, and I get it. Like, I think I understand the idea of like feeling those feelings of like wanting and needing someone to be there to do things for you or make you feel needed, and so you become codependent on like those relationships around you. And so I get that. It just sucks for the person that like was the source of your codependency. Like, August just has to kind of deal with that. And, you know, of course she was gonna go back to Will, right? Like, I don't think that was ever like a not gonna be. She was gonna go back eventually. And August maybe like didn't know that, because when you're in it, you're like, yeah, when you're in it, you're definitely like in it, and this is your person, and you just believe like they're gonna stay with you for the rest of your life, and that clearly did not happen for August Alsina. So that sucks. I used the Makeup Revolution Deep Banana Powder, the Medium Deep for Minted, and now I'm using the Minted Season 2 bronzer. They recently came out with new bronzers, which is exciting. So I probably will buy that sooner than later. But I like bronzer a lot. It's like my favorite thing. It just gives me like this glowy feel. I'm putting on a lot of bronzer right now, but whatever. And then I am gonna do highlight. So I got a new highlighter from Oma Beauty. I'm excited to try it. A bit too much, but it's fine. It's really glowy, but whatever. Sun's out. I'm gonna be extra glowy today. It's fine. So yeah, I just think that obviously like Jada made a choice, and at this point so did August, and it just sucks that, you know, when you have to like deal with it. And but yeah, like I said, I definitely think Will is still like hurt from this situation, because I don't think he thought like she would have an actual relationship with August Alsina. But in marriage, you grow and evolve, and you get to choose like what you want and what you will tolerate, what you won't tolerate, how you can process those emotions, and move forward. So I think it's also like interesting when people be like, I would never do this in a marriage. Like, never say never, because you, especially if you ain't married yet, you don't know. You don't know. Come back to me in about 10 years. And I think you have to like choose to endure what you feel is, you know, good for you and your family and what that looks like. Because truth be told, like, Will and Jada are definitely like anomalies in for I think black people in general. Like what Will and Jada like have built and how they raise their kids, completely different than like traditional what black people would say is like the way to raise your kids. Like choosing punishments and them being able to tell you no and you listening to them and all of that. That's not a common practice, if you will, in a Black family. And so they're not even like normal per se. I'm going to go back in this palette and do some lower eye work, lid. I'm gonna put Jet Setter down below. Bring it all the way across, just to open the eye a little bit. But yeah, like, if we're talking about traditional ways, like, of raising kids, or a traditional family at that, like, they're not. And they even said they have, like, they changed the definition of their marriage, and it's a partnership, like. So, I think, ooh, I definitely got this in my actual eye. And this is glitter. We'll see how that pans out. So yeah, I just think that we have to let humans be human and let them choose what they want for their family. And I think part of it is, for me especially, is like learning to be like a counselor changes this whole dynamic. Like, I'm like, I know I'm gonna meet people from a million walks of life, and how dare I judge people based on what they've chosen for their life, what they pursue, what they want to do. Like, who am I? I am literally there to guide. And so I think that's probably why I'm more like, it's not, it is what it is. People do life different than I do. That's really what it comes down to. People do life different than I'm going to choose to do my life, but that's not, my purpose isn't to judge them, it's to love them. So, I'm using Night. From Minted. I'm always using Minted, guys, so when in doubt, think it's Minted. This is also Dark Night from Minted. It's my fave. And then I'm going to put Baby Brown lip gloss on it, just because I like gloss and I like my lips to look a little juicy. Alright, so I'm going to kind of do my hair a little bit. I mean, there's only so much you can do with braids, right? So, just gonna pull it to the side. And there we go. Alright, so here's my up close look, guys. See the highlights a lot. Highlight my eyes. I feel like it's a little flat, but I think because I put a lot of powder on because I don't want to sweat it off. But there you go. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk about Will and Jada. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time in the next makeup video or whatever video. Also, let me know what you guys think about marriage and how you view Will and Jada's marriage. Bye, guys.